Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name's Mike Anastasia. With me today we got Brandon.
Hello.
And we're here talking about games and things.
Yep, sure.
Sure am.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about today? Mario vs. Donkey Kong's out.
Yeah.
It's exciting. We got updates on news bits. That's exciting. That's all the excitement for today, I think.
Yep. Basically,
Ready
I mean, we got some stuff to talk about in the industry, but yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start out with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So that's new and exciting. Just came out this last week. So exciting that I actually forgot that it came out on Friday. And I'm like, I had my day. I'm like heading up to bed, and then I'm like, oh fuck, Mario vs. Donkey Kong came out today. Oh wow. So, yeah, that I think sums up my excitement for the game. Not that it's a bad game by any means. I've done 7 of the 8 standard worlds from the game so far.
Okay.
And they're fun. And they're just kind of short little kind of platforming puzzles. You can do that. Supposedly, I'm sure I'll be able to confirm this sometime this week. But once you finish this 8th world, apparently unlocks like a bunch of challenge stages and things. To kind of go through, so that'll be a little bit better. The stages that I played through so far, they use some interesting mechanics, but they don't seem to be terribly challenging. I think maybe the most lives I've lost on a attempt has been somewhere in the 3 to 5 range, and it's usually just because of lack of patience, not for high difficulty. So yeah, I would say that's kind of what it is. But they do, so each stage is kind of broken up into kind of like a general theme. You'll have kind of like a city theme or kind of ice theme or, whatever. So they'll do some interesting things there and introduce some new mechanics in each one that, makes it stand out a little bit. But there's not been anything wildly, like I said, nothing wildly difficult. Everything seems to be, pretty straightforward. Each stage seems to be comprised of 6 standard stages, kind of like Donkey Kong battle, and then kind of like a minis kind of lemming stage kind of thing. So that all works really well. Game looks good. I mean, it's a Game Boy game that's been graphicified. I don't know. It's good. They're converted from sprites to polygons, but it looks really nice in motion. It seems to work really well in that regard. Mario's got decent amount of moves in his arsenal. I'd say the one thing that actually surprised me the most with this was I actually really enjoy the music in this game. Not what I would have expected, kind of to take me by surprise here. But every once in a while, I'll just be kind of playing and just kind of going along, and it'll just be like jamming in the music, and I'll be like, oh, it's actually pretty good music. So that's kind of good. Otherwise, at this point, it definitely crossed my mind. I was like, is this a $50 game? Probably not. This definitely seems kind of more like in the $30 to $40 range.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So, I'll have more thoughts on it, once I finish this last kind of main stage and see, what are the challenge levels like? Are they worth coming back to? Is it something that's even to keep my interest? Is there any even incentive to go through them? That sometimes is always, the big draw. If it's, just to go through the bonus stages just for the sake of going through bonus stages, that isn't necessarily fun. But we'll see. I mean, I would say, right so far, my experience with it's been, pretty positive, and I would say, just generally reviews on it have been, good. The game is what it is. It's a basically 30-year-old Game Boy game that's had new life breathed into it. So, but for that, what it is good. And I think I said it last week too, but Donkey Kong 95 is excellent. And this kind of really works with a bunch of that framework that game had. Still think 95 is probably better. I think the levels overall are just better built. But this game, it is a lot of fun. So still not played co-op, nor do I have any interest to, but it is available 100% of the time, which is new to this version of the game. But yeah, that's it. Even DJ played a little bit of it. I was surprised.
Okay.
So I can't tell you the last game that he was like, oh, let me try that. So it has been probably since Luigi's Mansion 3.
Okay.
So in fact, this game piqued his interest a little bit. And that was kind of surprising. But he played maybe like half of the first world without any major issues. Figured it out pretty well. Game does a very good job, I think, of explaining the mechanics, even though it's not obtrusive doing it. Like it gives you the option to kind of read, not really read. It gives you kind of like visual kind of hints to how the controls work when they introduce new mechanics. But they are avoidable, so if you know what you're doing, you don't necessarily have to look at them, but they are there if you want them. Um, Otherwise, yeah, a pretty solid little game.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Do you have any questions, thoughts?
Absolutely not. I have
I didn't figure.
zero interest in
Yeah.
this game. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, it's okay.
I can't even pretend to be interested.
Yeah, it's definitely this is not a like attention grabbing game. This is like I said, it's kind of like a nice puzzle platformer. It's definitely hey, I want to kill some time in the background doing something else. Perfect for that. It's not really a hey, what game is sucking away your attention and
But
you can't
see,
pull yourself
here's
away?
the thing. What you
Mhm.
described shouldn't cost $50.
No, I don't disagree.
And
Yeah,
this is it 60 or is it 50? Again, I have
it's
to ask.
50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this shouldn't even be 50. Like, and if it was 60, that'd be even more ridiculous.
Oh
What you
yeah, no.
described is like
This-
a $20 to $30, maybe $40 title.
Yeah, I mean,
Which,
considering the plethora of indie games that come out, don't necessarily disagree.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
also point to, for instance, right? I would point to Helldivers 2, which just came out. I have not played this yet myself, but it is smashing records, right?
Uh-huh.
It is so popular that the servers can't keep up with the amount of people that are buying it.
Hmm.
And on top of all of that, this is a game that Sony just kind of threw out to the wild to be like, put out there like, we have something, here you go. Enjoy. But people are eating it up. And it released day and date with PC also, and it has crossplay, and PC's also like maxed out basically. Everyone's playing it. It's like the number one title right now. That's a $40 title, and people are getting so much like out of it. And then another example is Power World, which was $30, and people are getting so much out of that. Why would you spend like $50 for something like what you're talking about when you could get something like those two games? And more games are going towards that kind of like price point. Like for instance, at least on PC, I know it's not on console, but on PC, Alan Wake 2 was only $50. I mean, I don't know, man.
I'm not the one who sets
When
the prices.
no, I get it. But when I like see games like this at those price points, I can't think of anything other than it being an absolute scam. Like it just looks like it.
I think this is Nintendo doing probably one of two things, if not both. One, this is them looking at like, hey, it's a Mario game, and it's a game that we originally sold for $30 that we're putting substantial value into by updating the graphics, adding new stages, adding new multiplayer features. So I think they're looking at it as more of like an additive kind of thing. They're like,
Hmm.
oh well, we charged $30 for it before, but we added more things to it. But I agree. I don't think that's necessarily reflective of the times, and you'd think that that would be, um, something that they would be like, hey, this is probably more of a budget title considering, other things comparatively.
Yeah.
Even if you compare it to, say,
I mean, it
Advance
almost
Wars.
feels like unfair. Like you look at other games that like Nintendo has put out around those price points, and there's so many better games, and it feels like they're just throwing it out there and being like, whatever, buy it or don't. I don't give a fuck, more or
I
less.
honestly, I was say, I think that was probably my second point, and I think that's probably kind of what they're doing with it. I think this is kind of more like testing threshold. I honestly don't think they have any
They'll
care
never
in the
grow the
world.
series like that. That's the problem, though. Like, I will always be uninterested in the series unless they do something to make it more approachable. And making it a $50 title is not that something.
No, but on the flip side though, I think if they were like $10, I don't think that would have probably moved your meter at all either. I think because you think about it, this is a very like niche title as it is. You're talking about growing this series, but they they tried it before, it didn't go anywhere, and then they let it languish for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, not I think this is kind of more of them being like, yeah, we'll put it out, we'll test people's thresholds for paying things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they necessarily care if this game does well or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of the vibe that I get from it. You think about it, not really a big like lackluster, push at launch. It's an older title with a port.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they know that the people who are going to buy it are going to buy it, and they know that the people who won't are not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just kind of where they're leaving it. I don't disagree with the price point being probably too expensive for what it is.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, too, it's not like this is a super popular genre either.
No, and that's why I think they probably should have made it more approachable by having it at like an entry price point, like, $20, $30, that sort of thing. That it's not a super popular genre, but you could still sell it on a whim as a like
You
just
probably sell it more just as a Mario game than you would
yeah.
selling for what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, don't disagree at all. Yeah, and this price point, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird title too because it's, like I said, even compared to Advance Wars was
It feels
two
like they're just
Game
going for
Boy
the people
Advance
that are
games.
like straight up 100%. Oh, I already loved this game in the past, and now I want to pay to play it again and not have to pay a lot of money to get the original, that sort of thing. That's almost what it feels like they did here, and they were still like, yeah, you don't have to pay a lot of money to get the original system and game, but we are gonna fucking upcharge you. It feels like it's nostalgia bait for those very niche audience, and they're just like, fuck it.
Yeah, maybe. I'm more inclined to think that they looked at the pricing kind of like with that kind of broken fallacy where they're like, well, we charged $30 for it before. We've only added new things.
Hmm.
Despite the fact it's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, obviously, listeners, your mileage may vary. If you like this type of game, you might get a lot of value out of it.
Here's the other thing. Like, this is 50
Mhm.
bucks, right?
Yeah.
I could pay 10 more and have Mario Odyssey. I could pay 10 more and have Mario Kart. Or if it's on sale, I could pay 10 less and have Mario Kart. When you look at something like that and you look at the like value you get out of those games as opposed to this, and you're even saying right now, you're like, I've only got a few more things left, and then it's bonus stages, but I don't even know if I care to play the bonus stages. When you have that kind of mentality, you know that like it's just kind of worthless as like a game.
Eh,
That's my thoughts.
I think that's a little bit too extreme take for how I feel on it.
You
Um,
literally said, I don't even know if I care to play those bonus stages. That's extra content that they gave you, and that's why you paid the extra money, quote unquote, according to Nintendo. And you're like, even I don't care. And you like the game.
no, there
So
was
it's like,
bonus stages. There was bonus stages in the original too. They've added new stages intermittently, like
mhm.
mixed in. So I've played probably like 16 new like levels mixed in with I don't know how many I've already. There's 7 times 6. What's that? 42. So 16 of the 42 stages I've played so far
Are
have
new.
been brand new for this game because the original game had I think 6 worlds and now it's 8. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what changes they made to the bonus worlds. Um, so on
I
that side of
see, I
things, I'm
see.
not sure. So,
Okay.
but there are new things. Like I said, mileage may vary. If you like this type of game, there's that. Or also, alternatively, wait till March 10th and see if it's on sale. It probably will be. So,
Why would it be on sale March 10th?
Mario Day.
Mario Day.
Hmm.
Yep, as I said that, it went through my head what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even to that note, there have been years where, if I remember, New Super Mario Brothers, like the Wii U Deluxe, came out in like January, if I
Mm.
remember that year, and it went on sale for Mario Day 2, even though it was just 2 months later. And my guess is you'll probably get a discount that's probably closer to what you would expect to pay, like $30. That'd be my guess. Um, if they're stingy, they only drop it down to 40. I don't know what to tell you, but that's still improvement. This is a game that will probably go on sale in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised. So if you want it, patience is always a virtue. If you wait long enough, you can get anything cheaper.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'd say see what your mileage. Mileage may vary. I'm trying to think if they even have. I don't think the other Donkey Kong. I don't think this or the other one are available on NSO.
Mm. Gee, I wonder why.
Well, the old one, reasonable. But I mean, on the flip side, too, Link's Awakening's on NSO, and it's available for retail purchase for the remake too. So they do
Mm.
offer both on occasions.
I
Um,
guess.
yeah. So I don't know. But that's all my thoughts for Mario versus Donkey Kong. I'm sure, like I said, I'll have an update in the future on it. But
Hmm.
that is what it is. So, you want to talk about your stuff?
Yeah, I guess I can.
Okay.
I'm quickly coming up on the ending of Like a Dragon
Mm-hmm.
Infinite Wealth now. Do you know how many hours I have in the game? I'll give you one guess. Go.
75.
110.
Wow.
Um
That's very
all right.
modest.
Yeah. No. I've done a lot of stuff. I really don't want to spoil this game, but yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. I've just finished the Sujimon League, which is like I mentioned before. That's their own version of Pokemon. Just went through all of that.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
That was fun. To play that. Yeah, now I'm moving. I'm basically clearing out all the side stories before I finish the main story because I only have one chapter left. So,
Yeah.
so there's that.
Okay.
My buddy for my birthday bought me the DLC for it, so I guess I don't get to finish this game ever.
Yeah,
Which
apparently
gives
not.
you a new dungeon, new costumes, new stuff for New Game Plus, and the worst part, it's actually the only way you can get New Game Plus is with the DLC.
Yeah, you were saying that. That's dumb. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
'Cause I wasn't gonna buy it myself unless it was on sale, but he was like, "No, you've got like 50 more hours of the game, buddy," and I was like, "Oh God, all right." So, so there's that. I will probably end up 100%ing this game because I really love this game. It has quickly become my favorite Yakuza game out of every single one of them. So that's awesome. Which is
All right.
great because the
That's good.
last Like a Dragon that they made, which was the RPG one as well, it just felt way too slow and I didn't like it anywhere near as much. It was like one of my like middling slash least favorite Yakuza games. So they improved it so much that this one's one of my favorites. So
No, it definitely is an interesting take on the series, I think. From
oh
what you
yeah,
said.
definitely.
Hmm.
There's a whole lot here. It almost feels like every fucking chapter has like three twists, and it's been wild from start to finish. I love this game. Yeah, moving on from that, I did get another game that was gifted to me,
Uh-huh.
also as a gift, for my birthday. It was called NIDUS. It is really weird. So this one's wild. It is a game kind of like Geometry Wars.
Hmm.
But I'm actually gonna post it in the general chat so you can see it yourself. But the way it works is each control stick on your controller
Hmm.
moves one of the ships. You control two at the same time.
Okay.
So one of the ship is like the mother base, basically,
Hmm.
and every time you destroy an enemy with the other ship, you like absorb it, and the power goes into your mother base, and then you have to fly that ship through your mother base to launch all that ability off, more or less. But you
Okay.
also have to protect the mother base, and the mother base has to move over to like enemies, and you
Uh-huh.
have to send off like a ping, and that ping makes it so that enemies that are like protected, they can be damaged by the other ship. It is very confusing. It is probably the most headache inducing and frustrating thing I've played in quite a while, but it is very unique. It is very different from anything else I've probably played. Like in this kind of, score attack genre
Yeah.
style game. It's really cool though. But I just it makes my brain hurt trying to play it, basically. But it is fun. So there's that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
that's
looks
it.
vaguely familiar. Not the actual game itself. It reminds me of something. I'm not quite
It's like
sure.
Geometry Wars. It's very much so like Geometry Wars.
No, it does kind of that. It's not quite what I'm thinking of though.
Okay.
I can't quite put my finger on it.
Okay.
Um, but visually, yeah, I can see Geometry Wars.
I mean, I showed you Ultros before. Could it be that we were talking about before?
No, I remember
Okay.
Ultros. No, it reminds me of another. kind of ship game.
I don't know which one that could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But
But definitely has elements from a bunch of different games. But it is unique looking. So
yeah, very much so. And the gameplay is unique as well. Having to control two with the same controller is pretty wild.
so does that flower thing? Does it not take damage, or is that
It
the only
does
thing that
take
takes
damage.
damage? Sorry, that's
No,
what I
you
meant to say.
both take damage.
You
You
both take
heal
damage.
yourself by going back into the mother base, which is the flower thing that you can see there. So
Okay.
that's the mother base you're trying to protect, but also it has to put out a pulse, which makes it so enemies become vulnerable and you can actually attack them. So
Yeah.
you have to use both ships in tandem to actually fight, but only one of them can do real damage. The other one just does it automatically by you flying into it and launching the stuff that you've stored up in your main ship out in like
Okay.
a big like explosion kind of thing. It's very, very weird and hard to explain, and it's even harder to play.
Yeah, I can see that would take a lot of coordination just looking at it. So what is it? The left stick controls like the wasp, and the right one controls the
Yes.
flower. Oh,
Yeah. Although left flower and right.
oh, okay. Opposite of what I would have figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the right bumper is what you use to dash with the wasp, and the left bumper, or sorry, trigger, is what you use to make things vulnerable using the mothership, which is the flower.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's
Interesting.
super weird. It's very different. I haven't really played anything like it. My buddy was like, "You like weird shit, so here you go."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, that's fair, I guess."
Yeah, it seems like something that you would at least try.
I definitely like it.
Mhm.
I don't know how to play it. It's really confusing. But we'll move on from that because yeah, I mostly want to talk about some of the stuff that happened this past week, more or
Yeah.
less, and then also maybe we make some predictions going from there into what the Nintendo Direct will be about that is coming up.
Yeah. That's a reasonable plan. We're gonna start with
Mhm.
Xbox.
Yep, we'll go straight to that because that'll lead us into the Nintendo Direct.
Okay. Yeah, so Microsoft had their, I don't know, podcast video thing. I didn't
Yep,
watch it.
I did.
I just watched the recap of it.
Hmm.
So basically boils down to kind of what I thought Microsoft might do last week when we talked about it. But basically, they're still going to be publishing some of their titles, as a publisher on the other
Hmm.
platforms. It's not going to be everything, it's going to be select titles.
Yep,
And kind of what I thought exactly was, titles that, not necessarily, big for their
made.
brand. Yeah.
Hmm.
But stuff that could definitely use some more indie attention and may ultimately draw, more fans to the, platforms and the other offerings that they have.
Hmm.
So Microsoft has said that, 4 titles are going to be in the initial offering. Did
Yep.
they mention what they were
Nope. They
specifically?
did
Okay.
not. They did not, but the ESRB basically outed it, which
Yeah, I
is
would say
Sentiment and
uh,
Hi-Fi
Hi-Fi
Rush,
Rush, Sea of
Sea of
Thieves,
Thieves, and
and
the last one was oh fuck, what was the last one? I
I
don't
know
even
I
remember.
was just like I just read it recently.
Oh, Grounded,
Uh,
Grounded.
okay. Mhm.
Yeah, those were the four that essentially have been all but confirmed.
Yeah.
And they stated when asked, because someone asked, can you tell us if one of the four games is Starfield? And they were like, it's not Starfield. This
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing. Essentially, is what they said. They did also say that they're just trying to get um eyes on Xbox on as many screens as possible. So,
Yes, and that's their goal. And really, I
and that's
mean,
what we talked about before, also when we were
yeah.
talking about it.
And it's not a new statement for Microsoft either. Like they've been
Hmm.
saying that for years. Like that's
Yes.
always been their goal. Um, so nothing really surprising here. And it really just kind of, accentuates the whole sky is falling mentality sometimes for insiders
Yep.
where, things kind of get out of hand and cascade and things aren't necessarily even remotely close to, where things started going. Like it just
Hmm.
seems like at some point someone just kept taking the next logical conclusion
Hmm.
without really confirming anything.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, things are definitely not as dire as I thought they would be. Microsoft's still
Hmm.
going to be here. I think they even went as far as to confirm another console is in the works.
Yes, they said
Um,
that they're working on their most powerful Xbox ever, which they say every single generation.
yeah. So, yeah, everything is fine on the Microsoft ship for now. So, like I said, my guess is they'll probably ride out the rest of this generation, reassess with the next one, and decide, kind of what their future is there. But yeah, otherwise things are on the up and up for them. So I don't know. Did you have any more thoughts on Xbox? It sounded like it.
Yes, I actually have a lot
Okay.
on this entire thing.
Yeah.
So, I see a lot of things where people are like, "Oh yeah, it's for so far that it's for right now, and that's all there is." Here's the thing, right?
Hmm.
I don't disagree with that mentality, but that is not what was said. But also, let's head over to the other side of things for a second, if we don't mind. Um, at the same time as this Xbox thing went off, there was
Hmm.
actually a Sony interview that went up that was hidden alongside, where essentially the new CEO slash president of PlayStation was like, in order to continue to compete in the market space in the future, we will be more aggressively putting our games out on PC as well as other platforms.
Hmm.
So at the same time, Microsoft put out this whole thing, which everyone was making to be one gigantic fucking hubbub of they're ending their life essentially. They're done. They're done with Xbox. It's packing up. Sony also said the exact same thing in a random interview, but no one's freaking out about that, which is
I did see.
a little weird, you know?
No, so actually, I did see this today. Apparently, they went through and re-clarified that they meant Sony platforms and PC.
That is not what the official statement from them said. That is what IGN and other people are running with, but the official statement, if you look at the actual like transcribed and translated script from the Japanese interview, like the actual interview,
Hmm.
it literally says they in the future. Let me see if I can find the exact thing so I don't misquote this. Right. Um, I gotta find this. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I don't want to get this wrong, so let me get this. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? Here we go. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Okay, according to Tataki, the president of the Sony Group Corporation, PlayStation games could arrive on Xbox and Switch consoles in the future. Strong titles that manage to grow the PS5, PC, and other platforms will expand our margins, is what he stated in the official transcript from the Sony shareholders QA that was done
Hmm.
yesterday, I believe it was. So this was during the shareholders question and answers, and he states PC and other platforms. There's two other platforms. It could be Xbox and Switch. It could be just Xbox. It could be just Switch. It could be anything. But he does state other platforms aside from PC and PS5. So I do think that some people are trying to hide or obfuscate that little fact, but he clearly states in his transcript other platforms and not
I
just
will.
PC.
I wonder though, because odds are
Hmm.
that it's also possible that there was some sort of translation error though too.
That is also possible. You're correct there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because I would be more surprised unless they're talking about like the show has got like multi-platform.
That's what I was
Obviously.
thinking. I was thinking like, you got to think of like uh Destiny 2, for instance, is multi-platform. That's owned by Sony.
Yeah. That's
The
true.
show is owned by Sony. Marathon is owned by Sony, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those are three examples that we know right now. But then there's other things like, for instance, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? That game has, in very tiny text on every single trailer at the bottom, 3-month exclusivity clause. three
Yeah.
months of exclusiveness
Uh-huh.
on the PS5. So where's it going after that?
Yeah.
That's the
Although that's
question.
not necessarily Sony. That one is.
It isn't, but let's be honest. What else is Final Fantasy VII Remake on?
No,
Or
I know. It's gonna
specifically,
come to
what else
Sony.
is Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth on? Because Rebirth has not been announced for anything else. Now, granted, they could go the easy route and be like, "Yep, it's going to be released on PC within like the beginning of 2025 or something like that," which is what I expect them to do. But
Yeah.
there's also the fact that the PlayStation Store, for no real reason, has a bundle purchase of
Uh-huh.
Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, right?
Yeah.
Why would you need to bundle those two games together when you've already like have it on your service? You've already like sold it also. You've already done all this, that, and the other, unless that bundle is for another platform in the future. And since they already have that bundle on, for that other platform ready to go, we're gonna put the bundle on Sony as well, so you can buy the bundle there too. That was my thoughts. My thoughts are like maybe a bundle of the two on PC, or maybe for the first time it comes to Xbox and they bundled the two games together for a certain price, and you pay this much and you get both the games. Because the original game is at a discounted price on PlayStation 5, but it's not if you buy it separately, only through that bundle. So that was why I was like, there's something going on there. There's something going on there. And I'm not sure if it's just because, hey, we're going to have the PC bundle that'll come out in the near future as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it probably means these titles that aren't necessarily first party, but are treated as such. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like another example, Helldivers 2 just came out, and it came out the exact same day on PC, like I said. That's an example of another game that released alongside on another platform at the same time. So you can add Helldivers 2 to that list of three games you already had there. So the question is, how many more is there going to be across every console? I would say actually, the only holdout that I think there will be in the next, I'm going to be generous and say like 5 years, is probably Nintendo, of not being multi-platform, because game costs are getting so high that if you don't release your games in multiple places, you're leaving money on the table
Yeah.
and you're just fucking yourself over
Hmm.
at the end of the day. And people have already started to notice that when you release something like Power World on PC and Xbox on the same day, or you release Helldivers 2 on PC and Xbox on the same day, and it makes bank on both of them, and you get so much more money by doing that. So I think in the near future, it will be day and date across the entire space, with the only holdout being Nintendo, because they're able to hold out because of the fact that they're technically a mobile platform, and mobile is so popular that it'll just keep selling no matter what they do, and also they're Nintendo, and they'll just keep selling no matter what they do. So that's my whole thoughts on it. I don't think there will be exclusives anymore in the next 5 to 7 years, aside from Nintendo, because Nintendo still hasn't got that memo. It hasn't come through their fax machine yet that they're still using.
And when you say exclusives, you mean like exclusive to console only and not PC.
I mean, so okay, let me clarify. When I say exclusives, right?
Hmm.
I mean, like, anything's on the table. You know how Microsoft was, everything's falling, the sky is falling, people were
Yeah.
shouting, this is coming to PlayStation, this is da 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 da.
Hmm.
I think in the future that both PlayStation and Xbox will be indistinguishable aside from just the box and the
Uh,
person that's handling the money. I think
maybe.
that on top of that, they both consoles won't even matter if you're playing on PC, because both
Oh,
of them will be
I 100%
releasing,
agree on that one.
both of them will be
Mhm.
releasing the same day and no longer waiting like 2 to 4 years, because they've
Yeah.
realized they make way more money if they release the game the same day on PC as they do on consoles.
Hmm.
So there's that. And then there's the Helldivers 2 issue that's going on right now with their servers, which I'd like to talk about. Their servers are so, like I said earlier, so many people bought that game that they can't handle the way the traffic is coming through on the back end, and as such, they're not able to get people into the queue fast enough and into the game fast enough because of how many people are attempting to log in at one point in time. Um,
Hmm.
and that's something that they're working on right now, because it's not something that can be added just by having more servers given to them. They literally need to like rewrite some of the code and make it so that traffic flows through better so that they can handle that when the server's better, essentially. And that was
Hmm.
something they were talking about. I'm like very interested in that game, and I will probably pick it up before the end of the like month, maybe. But yeah, it looks great.
Okay.
Let's go to Nintendo. And the reason why we talked about the Microsoft and Sony stuff to begin with There's a Nintendo Direct that's coming out on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
on the
it'll already be
21st.
done by the time that you listen to this.
Yeah.
But what we know is it is confirmed to be a partners direct.
Yeah.
So we know that that's a definite.
Hmm.
And there's a bunch of rumors about, what content, even inside that partners direct we might see. I did just see a rumor there's, possibly a new Monkey Ball on the way.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly Return of Endless Ocean.
Mm.
If you remember, that was a popular Wii kind of ocean exploring game that Nintendo published.
Yeah, I remember that
Uh,
game.
and also, what was it? Pocket Jockey, I think, was what the game was
Pocket
called.
Jocket.
It was like a solitaire slash
Pocket Card
horse racing
Jockey.
game.
Yeah, this was a
I
3DS
think
game, right? By Game Freak.
yes. Yeah. So those are what the rumors are saying that we might
So
see on this
apparently,
partners direct.
Pocket Card Jockey was released on iOS with a sequel to it last year.
Yes, and the rumor is supposedly
That
this.
sequel is the one that people are getting.
Yeah, it's
A
going to be
shitty mobile port.
some reimagining of that to some degree is what it
Mm-hmm.
says. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what it is. I would say, you never know what you're going to get partners direct wise.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the indie game ones. It's kind of a grab bag. What might be in there doesn't necessarily mean we won't see first party franchises. Like example, we were just talking about how Nintendo's been shopping around a lot of them lately. Last week, so this Endless Ocean remake or whatever rumor is true. Totally seems up the alley with what Nintendo's been doing, which is, hey, let's take these really niche first party titles that we've had and then find some third party developers that are interested in updating them. So, we saw it with Another Code, we saw it with Advance Wars, we saw it with Mario versus Donkey Kong. And so for them to be like, hey, Endless Ocean totally seems like something that's legit. So that actually seems like the most reasonable rumor I've seen so far. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what ends up coming up out of here. So my guess is, obviously Nintendo is not necessarily in a rush to kind of unveil the first half of the year. I think they're still figuring things out based on the other rumors that we have from Nintendo for this week. So it seems reasonable. This kind of seems like it was their plan, regardless of which way the next part goes. So be interesting to see how this ends up coming out tomorrow when it happens. So we'll have more to go there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something exciting there, but sometimes they do these partner directs just to, placate the third party devs. They're like, hey, we'll get the word out on your game. Don't worry. So so there's that, and that kind of leads to the next part of the rumor, which was, so originally this Partners Direct supposedly came about because, like, hey, we're going to do a Partners Direct because we're announcing the new platform, the new console in March. Well, now the rumors are like, well, maybe not.
It's been delayed until 2025, according to Bloomberg.
Yeah, according to the guy who has predicted the Switch Pro for the last 3 years, the Switch 2 is not coming out until next year now. So
I meant the company website, Bloomberg, the one
yeah.
that like
Bloomberg is also the one that's been screaming from the rooftops that the Switch Pro has been coming for the last 2 years. Apparently, it's the same reporter.
We will see tomorrow.
So we will see.
Well, yeah.
I think my kind of
I didn't know
it
was the same reporter. That's actually wild.
Yeah. So initially, I guess kind of rewind. I guess kind of where the breakdown kind of originally started was, 2 weeks ago, basically every insider was like, "Oh, Switch 2's coming this year. It's going to be announced in March," and so that's kind of what it's been thing. And then around the same time that the Xbox kind of stuff's been going down and taking a right turn, all of a sudden this one has been too. And they're like, "Well, no, now maybe not." And originally, like the first reporting was, a third party developer was like, oh, we're making a game for the Switch 2, but it's not coming out until Q1 2025. And apparently someone went back to clarify with them and it was, is this because that's when the system's launching, or is it because that's when you want to release it so it's in the launch window? And apparently there was no answer to that question. And just shortly after that is when everyone's like, oh no, Switch isn't coming out until next year. And then, then it was kind of followed up with the other things. So is that necessarily saying one way or another? I don't know. I was thinking about it on the way to the podcast today.
Because I see what you're saying, but according to Bloomberg, it was reported on Saturday that Nintendo told game publishers personally that the Switch 2 will be delayed until the early months of 2025, citing people with knowledge on the matter. So publishers that have been in contact with Nintendo on developing games for the Switch 2 have literally been told that the system won't be releasing until 2025 to give them more time to work on their games.
Yeah. And so I was thinking about that whole kind of thing on the way before recording today.
Yeah.
And so Nintendo's in a very interesting position this year. And it's a position that they have not been in for decades.
Yeah.
And that is they know through litigation and acquisitions for fact, for realsies, that like they have no major competition this year. Like we know this for fact.
It's true.
Yeah. They could release the Switch this year, the new Switch if they wanted to this year, and I'm sure it would do very well. But they
probably want to have those people backing it for its launch window, That's what I was thinking.
They probably exactly. They want as much software available at launch as they can. A. And B, they also know it's like Microsoft doesn't have a new system coming for at least until 2026. Yep. The successor to the PlayStation not coming for a couple of years. And on top of that, Sony's got nothing fucking coming out.
No, they don't. And then on top of that, supposedly they're refreshing the PS5 this year. So it's not even a new system. It's just a refresh of the system that already exists. Again, after we just got a refresh of the PS5 last year.
Yeah. So as much as I was like, oh, Nintendo would be dumb not to release it this year, I think
Nintendo is smarter, just waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Because
they've got no competition. There's nothing going on.
The system's still selling like crazy. Yeah,
like what's Microsoft got? Avowed? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, Microsoft has so little that they're like, well, let's publish our games on other platforms.
They have some good games coming out this year. They do.
They definitely compared to Sony.
Yes,
100%.
But Sony has nothing. They have literally nothing. They're going to have to coast off of Helldivers 2 to get them through this year, which Sony might actually work out because of it being a games as a service title, but
yeah. Sony has, kind of, I guess to put it in perspective, as far as I can tell, Sony has no titles from a major franchise coming out this year.
I mean, they have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out next week.
Sorry,
Sony published titles. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, obviously third parties, they can still have some, decent exclusives there, like Final Fantasy. But no, so none of the Sony houses are hitting anything major this year.
We got Rise of Ronin, but that game actually looks like dog shit.
Yeah, and I even went through like while we were just recording just to double check. I'm like, am I missing anything? Obviously we were just talking about the show, like they got the show coming out, but it's a sports title. It'll make some waves, but it's not anything significant. I'm
gonna do a double check real quick. All right.
Yeah.
New and upcoming PS5 titles for 2025. Right. Let's see what we got. Dragon's Dogma 2. That's multiplat. Helldivers 2. We already talked about that. Yeah. Pacific Drive. That game looks incredible, but that is not a Sony thing. That's also multiplat. You're advertising Foam Stars and two Konami games that you don't even know when they're releasing. Shut the fuck up. Hold on. Jesus Christ, I'm not seeing anything.
No, exactly. Yeah, so is Nintendo necessarily crazy if they did decide to delay the Switch 2? Probably not. You can give yourself a nicer launch. You don't have to worry about people running anywhere because there's nowhere to run to right now. And odds are, knowing Nintendo, kind of my other, as the listeners don't, when we were talking about this kind of offline,
you know what? Podcast. Sony does have Stellar Blade, which Stellar Blade looks fucking fantastic. That comes out in April. That is published, not developed, but that first party Sony Interactive published title. Stellar Blade looks really good. That's all I have to say
Yeah.
about that one. But like looking at everything else, it's like there's literally nothing here.
No,
And I'm pretty sure at this point the little devil inside is not real.
probably.
I don't think that game exists, and it really upsets me because I wanted that game to exist.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
ask about it every year, and then you forget the name, and then we have to look it up every year.
Yep.
Yeah. What was I just saying though? So, yeah, so Nintendo's in like a really sweet position, and odds are, knowing them, they're probably sitting on a fuck ton of ports anyways.
I mean,
that
we
they can
have
pad out this
Paper
year.
Mario, we have the Princess Peach game, we have the Luigi's Mansion 2 remake. We have
Yeah.
those three things alone right there, which are that's more than Sony has.
Yeah,
and it's definitely
based
more
on,
than Xbox has also.
oh yeah, no, exactly. Princess Pizza alone is more than both of them, almost, for God's sakes, which is insane. But I mean, Microsoft does have Indiana Jones could be interesting. Like, they have some decent stuff. I'm giving them a little bit of
Yeah,
shit,
I
but,
do.
uh-huh.
You know what? Yeah.
But you
They do
know,
have Indiana Jones. I
Nintendo.
have some thoughts on that game. But they do have Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
My
But
thoughts are it
Nintendo.
looks really good. But I'm nervous.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable nervousness for that game.
Can I tell you the reason I'm nervous?
Sure.
Okay. So my friend worked on the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked to him about it, this was 6 months ago, because he
Yeah.
popped in one of my streams.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually back in April of 2023. I
Okay.
remember now. He
Like
popped
a
in
year
one of
ago.
my streams. Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we had mentioned, well, you guys do have Indiana Jones coming out, and his response was, "Yeah, that is coming out, isn't it?" And I don't like that was his response.
Yeah, not
So
super reassuring.
that doesn't sound very reassuring. But yeah, that gave me a little bit of a what's going on here? What's going
I
on
mean,
here?
really, it's got to be better than the last movie. So,
I mean, that's fair, but like when someone that worked on the game's like, yeah, it is. That's when you're like, So I don't know if he was just trying to be that way because he didn't want to reveal anything, but like he did not sound. He sounded the exact same way about the last game he worked on, which was the Wolfenstein New Blood, which was the one that didn't go so well.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one with the two daughters of BJ Blazkowicz. When he worked on that game, his response was like, "Yeah, that's a thing that happened," basically. So a little worried about that because he sounded pretty much the exact same way he did about that he sounded about that. So I'm really hoping it's not just another title that gets fucked up. But yeah. Because I also talked to him about that game. I was like, yeah, we played that game on our stream, and we got to the ending, and we actually got soft locked. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, no one tested the game past like the first 6 hours. I was like, we could tell. We could absolutely tell. He's like, yeah, they just kind of wanted that one to get out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, that does happen too. You know, a lot of games will end up having, shortcomings on like the testing, especially, near the end stuff, the stuff that they built at that end.
Yeah.
I know God of War, the original one, was famously did not get play tested for like that kind of end area where you're climbing up.
And it showed. That also showed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? The like hitboxes were like dog shit at the end of that game. When you had those things that would like clip you and knock you down some after you got hit by them, it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. What was I gonna say though? Oh, but Nintendo wise,
yes. Sea of Thieves probably will have a showing at the Partner Direct tomorrow.
Oh yeah, actually that's a good point.
I do feel like
to see if Microsoft shows some of their stuff off there.
That's what I was going. That's why I brought up the Microsoft third party bullshit first, because I do feel like some of those games will be shown at tomorrow's Partner Direct, and that's probably why Microsoft actually went out and was like, maybe we should tell people about this, not just because rumors and whatever, but because, hey, you're gonna find out one way or another, might as well go ahead and get that out there to clear up.
Also might be why Nintendo moved the date a week too, so they could announce it and then they could have it there. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. on that side of things.
So that's my thoughts on the entire
Yeah.
thing. Essentially,
Um.
I do think that maybe tomorrow, if we do see something from Microsoft, it'll just be something like Grounded or Pentiment, and probably not Sea of Thieves. But they might release Hi-Fi Rush tomorrow. That's the other thing that is actually a prediction.
I could see them.
It's already been rated, so like
Mhm.
it exists. We're just waiting for it to be something you can play on the Switch and PS5. And I do think tomorrow is going to be that day that it will be something you can play on the Switch and PS5. Also, there's the new thing, which is Shin Megami Tensei 5 Resurrection, I think is
Oh
what it's
yeah,
called.
like the ultimate version or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
Vengeance. That's what it is. Vengeance. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say that this is announced tomorrow on the Switch Direct. But then we look after the Switch Direct, and it's also on Xbox Game Pass as well as PS5. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that happens.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it's a very safe guess, if anything. Yeah.
Which will be great because we'll finally actually be able to play Shin Megami Tensei 5. Because I'm just gonna say that game ran like dog shit on the Switch.
Yeah, I remember it was issue when it came out. I didn't
I
follow it
refunded it.
closely enough to see if they patched it or anything.
I did not either. I just refunded it and never looked back. I figured we'd eventually have a version like this that would be playable. So I'm hoping this is that version.
Yeah, hopefully. But anyways, yeah. So I was gonna say, it's been long rumored Nintendo port wise that they've been sitting on, Metroid and Zelda stuff too.
Yeah.
So if those do exist, it
Wind Waker!
wouldn't surprise me if they're like, well, we're gonna hold off on a new system, but here's 4 ports that you've been begging for. And it wouldn't even surprise me if they had some other
Wind
ones that we
Waker!
just wouldn't have even guessed. Um, I mean, hell, honestly, time wise, you think about it. Like, think about it took just a handful of months to do that Super Mario 3D All Stars. Like they did that game in like less than 9 months.
That's
So
true.
if they're really like, they could probably have already greenlit stuff for the end of this year, and had it and like, oh, I just want you to do a quick and dirty port of whatever GameCube games, and you'd probably do it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. We should know more soon. So based on the timeline, so kind of the new updated timeline. So the original timeline was Switch 2 announced in March. That's what they originally said. So if that's kind of the direction that they're going, we should know about that in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
I would say realistically, if the Switch 2 is delayed,
Mm-hmm.
we won't see that announcement until June, or probably more likely in the fall, following something similar to what they did with the original Switch, which is where they did their kind of September direct, and then a couple weeks later, then they had their Switch unveiling. I think that's probably more likely what we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think because of that, they'll probably come back through what the rumors are saying now, come back through with an actual normal direct sometime in like April-ish time frame, and kind of update with their plans for the rest of the year, which makes sense. That would be post Princess Peach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then,
I'm gonna go ahead and give you my take, which was
yeah.
my take before. I do believe like this year the Switch 2 will be announced and shown off, and some games will probably be announced for it as well.
Mhm.
However, I do think we'll be getting it on the anniversary of the Nintendo Switch. That's what I think will
Do you think
happen.
it's going to be like March next year?
Yeah, I think it'll be like the exact day the original Switch launched. That's when the Switch 2 will launch.
Yeah, I think that's, if they're going to wait till next year, I think that seems like a good time frame. It's right at the end of the fiscal year, so they have that nice kind
Exactly,
of boost.
exactly.
Yeah, gives them
Yep,
enough time to get stuff ready without
yep,
rushing. You get through the holiday launch, and
yep,
it's
yep.
far enough out of the holiday launch that it's probably not necessarily going to eat into your sales too much.
100%.
Um, yeah, I don't disagree with y'all. I think that's probably about exactly
That's
where we'll be.
been essentially my takeaway since the beginning. Even since you were like, no, that's not happening. That has been my take since the literal beginning. That
Yeah,
they will
no,
launch it come their next anniversary.
I agree. You are not lying. I've heard you say it multiple times. So yeah, I think that's all reasonable. And like I said, with where Nintendo is, like I said, they're in a really unique position right now where it's like they, for once, they have all the cards in front of them,
Hmm.
and they can really be like, yeah. we're not in a rush. Even if Sony threatens to put out the Pro this year, which that article was all analysts.
Yes.
It wasn't even like any even sort of like there's no like we see factory predictions, or there's like no actual basis. Just
Yeah.
kind of like we think that they'll do it based on past trends.
So my main question is, if they put out the Pro, who cares? Like,
Nobody,
what is there to
nobody fucking
play
cares.
on the Pro? Like,
Yeah,
if they're not bringing new games also with it, what's the fucking point?
yeah, they got
You
nothing.
literally just updated like games from the PS4 to PS5 last month, literally last month. And now you're like, but PS5 Pro though. What are you gonna do? Update PS4 to PS5 games again to the PS5 Pro? Like, I don't get it. There's nothing that you need a Pro for right now.
No, they
Like,
don't.
it
They don't
doesn't
even
make
have, as
any
far as we know,
sense.
any first party titles to even make it make sense.
I mean,
So
they have the games that already exist, but they're totally fine already on the PS5 the way it is. Like
no, but
Demon's
I'd say
Souls or
yeah,
Last of Us. Like, what would that on a PS5 Pro be? Like, what, we're gonna update it to 8K? All right, who fucking owns an 8K TV?
yeah. No,
No
I mean
one. The
you
market
would
isn't there. What the fuck is the point?
no, and they're not even maximizing the current hardware that they have.
Yeah, it says
Um,
8K 120 on my fucking box. That shit ain't there.
yeah. So I mean, I think if they do a pro system that
Mhm.
are crazy, just because it's Sony doesn't know what they're doing right now.
No, they
I
don't.
am fully convinced of this.
They're just kind of throwing things at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah,
I
they're like,
think this is everyone's like current gaming landscape setup. Microsoft is being insidious and doing something that none of us are going to see coming until it happens.
mhm,
Nintendo doesn't give a fuck because they're just making money hand over fist. And
yep.
Sony has no idea what to do and has had no idea since they moved their main branch to America.
Hmm.
That is my takeaway in general
Actually,
as to what's
also
going on.
interestingly, from what you were just saying too, another bit of news that came out this month: Nintendo is the most profitable company in Japan right now.
I saw that.
So,
I saw that. And then I saw how they kind of weasel their way into everything in Japan. Like the first thing you see when you get off of a plane is Nintendo stuff greeting you, which is kind of like dystopian in a way.
I'll I'll be honest. At least when I went to Japan, I do not recall such a thing. But it depends,
I
obviously, on
I've
what
seen
airport you go
I've seen
to.
photos and video today, like not
Mm,
like literally within the last 24 hours, where people were talking about, of course, they're the most profitable company, and they showed like three different airports where you arrive from America to Japan, or maybe it
mm,
was two, I don't remember which one, and each one of them had Nintendo things that literally welcomed you to Japan the second you got off the plane, and it was kind of like weird, like it was kind of like, I see what you're doing here, where you're like, hey, welcome, we're Nintendo, we're awesome, you love Nintendo, don't you? But it also feels like, hey, welcome, we own you. The way it's like there, it is kind of chilling. Like, to be completely honest.
mm. My guess is it probably has to do with like two things.
Big brother Nintendo's watching you.
No, my guess is probably a lot of that stuff. I bet I wouldn't be surprised if it was put up after the Olympics. 'Cause I don't remember like Nintendo. They did that
Mhm.
whole show with like the prime minister coming out of like a warp
Apparently, it
pipe.
showed up in like the last year. So,
But and I was just saying, my other theory was it has to do with Universal Studios, which makes a lot of
which
sense.
that also does make a lot
Mhm.
of sense, especially since that is like a huge thing. Which makes me wonder, are we gonna have like that kind of signage in Florida like next year?
Probably.
That's what
Hey,
I was thinking too.
I got something recently that had to
Uh-huh.
do with them getting ready for opening. Oh, but then they're like, but not until next year. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because Nintendo World opens in Florida next year, and
yeah.
like, yeah, I can't not see that having something like that.
But yeah, totally not surprising if they do though. On the flip side, I mean, even my rinky-dink airport has like a little display set up for some of the different attractions in the area. So, um,
Well, this is like literally a mural that's painted on the wall
uh huh,
that says Welcome to Japan, and it has like Nintendo characters, like literally leading you up the stairs
Hmm.
from the painting of the mural, like ushering you into the play. It's kind of weird. Like it's cool, but when you sit there and think about it, it's like this is kind of weird.
I'll go to the Welcome to Japan mural right now.
It's got
Here
like
we
a
go.
Daisy and yeah, here we go. It's got like the Daisy and Peach thing, and they're like welcome, and it's like okay, I get it. This is cute, but then when you like take a second and you think, oh wait, this is like the biggest company of Japan. It would be like if Samsung welcomed me to America. I don't fucking know who I would say for America. I don't know Guns if Guns welcomed me to America.
I don't know. My airport, I think they took it down. It
Mhm,
used to have a giant, like, I don't even know if I would call it mural. Probably
mhm.
more like advertisement for one of the local like health networks that was like number one in heart health or whatever. And it was like this huge thing that was probably like at least, probably 2 stories high and like
Mhm.
it's like incredibly wide. But I was like, why would this be the first thing that you see when you come to Rochester? But really, the answer is always money.
Yeah.
And probably the same with this one too. Nintendo's like, hey, we got a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Might as well throw some down here.
Yeah.
Also, too, I mean, you think about it, great place to advertise video games, airport when you're sitting around looking for something to do. So,
That's true. That's very true.
um,
I was just looking at it from the way that we were talking about with them now being like the biggest company in Japan. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah. So, oh, it looks like the airport. One of them that has it is Osaka, which I didn't go to, so that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Um,
That's where their main branch is, isn't it?
no, they're in Kyoto.
Oh, okay. I got that confused.
But it looks like there's another. I think Narita Airport. It looks like Narita Airport has something similar too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Nintendo stuff?
Uh, like I said, my prediction is still Hi-Fi Rush gets announced and launched tomorrow on Switch. That's it. That's all I really have.
Yeah, I think something Microsoft will be there. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Endless Ocean thing's true. I wouldn't be surprised if the pocket card jockey thing is true. Oh, actually, that reminds me. There was another piece I forgot. Nintendo news wise, um, also related. Nintendo also announced a Pokemon Presents as next week, so I
Wait,
got
what?
that to look
Oh
forward
yeah,
to
the
too.
the Pokemon one. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So we got that too. No remote idea on that one. I'm not seeing any rumors or speculation on that one. Um,
Yeah, because they finished all the DLC for.
yep, DLC is finished.
So what
Um,
do you even do? What are they gonna show off?
my guess would
Is a new
be
game that they'll hurry out the fucking door as quick as possible to come out this year and make themselves look bad again?
I don't know. After Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Company did come out and say like, oh, they're gonna be more open to not necessarily having a title and kind of spacing out time between titles better. So
What's
that's
the
what.
smartest thing they could do then? The answer is re-release the original 3 games on NSO.
Oh yeah, they could do that. That's actually a good idea, especially with the 3DS stuff shutting down. Give it
Mm-hmm.
access without having to go too crazy. I
Yeah.
could also see them. I feel like there's a couple Pokemon titles that are probably up for like a refresh
Pokemon
time wise.
Pinball. 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 Pinball.
Well, no,
Pokemon
it'd be nice
Pinball.
to be disciplined. I was gonna
I
say
love
like
Pokemon Pinball.
it's been more than 2 years since Legends, so
That's
we
true.
could
That's true.
theoretically see something like that come out, especially if they're. You would figure if they're planning on staying on
Like
the Switch, they're
Legend Celebi.
yeah, and I could see they probably wouldn't have to do too much work like engine wise. They're probably just going to focus on updating graphics or whatever. So you would think a quicker turnaround.
Hmm.
Um, so I could see them doing something like that. I could also see them doing like a new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game. I could see them doing that. So,
Hear me
but
out.
yeah.
I got to figure out what this one's called. Pokemon Conquest? Is that its name?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the Fire Emblem like
Yeah.
Pokemon
Let's
game.
let's do something like that. That would
I
be
could see them
cool.
do something like that. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that would be fun. I like Conquest. Conquest is pretty cool. Um, Yeah, that would be fun. That was I think Tecmo Koei developed, if I remember.
And they're
Um,
already really good friends with Tecmo Koei. Oh
yeah.
God, I just thought, what about Pokemon Warriors game?
Strangely, I thought the same thing as I was kind of talking to you about this. That could kind of be cool.
I actually think
Um,
that'd be really fun.
actually, probably would be really fun. Just running around like blasting Rattatas with like electric, like Thunderbolt or whatever.
hmm hmm
Um, yeah, that could be kind of cool. So I could see that. I could see that. My bet is they probably have something like unexpected, kind of like those kind of things. Otherwise, if they don't, I don't think they'll have a mainline title. Like they're not going to have like whatever the next generation is. Like that's not going to be there. They might have like a port or like an upgrade to like maybe they did a quick and dirty port of another older title, kind of like what they did with uh, Pearl and Diamond.
Mm.
So I could see them doing something like that. I could also see them doing maybe more like another like Let's Go,
hmm
like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, except
Oh
maybe
yeah.
like a Heart Gold or Soul Silver kind of version of it.
That would be so good.
Yeah. So I could see him going with either of those kind of things. But I'd say I just wouldn't expect like a normal full like
No, I don't
Pokemon
think so
release.
either.
Yeah. So we'll see. I hope it's more like Legends kind of territory because I think Legends did really well. And I think they probably have had enough time to get something out for the fall if they wanted to this year. But we'll see. Also too, they moved from that game pretty fast. Like I expect a little bit more DLC for it than they did. So wouldn't surprise me if they moved that team over and started working on things like in a relatively reasonable speed. So,
Mm.
um, otherwise, do you have any predictions for like Nintendo Direct this week? Um, no, I don't think so. Nothing beyond what you said, um, and nothing that I think would be so terribly exciting that Partners Direct is the better place for it than the regular Direct. Um,
hmm
but I don't know. Unless they have other kind of weird those like third party, first party titles, I could see them sneaking in something like that. More like a Cadence of Hyrule kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that would
Um,
be so good. I need another one of those.
oh yeah, that was a fantastic game.
Or a game like that. Like, I don't know, do
Yeah,
like a Mario version or something. I don't think that's
yeah,
happening, but I would love that.
interesting crossover kind of thing.
hmm
Yeah, I
hmm
think that would be pretty cool. Um, so I think I'm more open to like those kind of like opportunities. There's games every once in a while that I see kind of come through where they're like Nintendo-esque or inspired, and you're like, oh, I wish this was. So there's something recently where it was like a music rhythm game, and I was like, oh, I could so see. I don't even remember what it was. It was something like Metroid or something like being like that. But I was like, oh, I could totally see
Metroid
it.
rhythm game? How would the music of that
Mm.
translate to a rhythm game? Sorry, I can't really think of that.
I
I
don't
mean, I
even know what
guess
it was.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
It might not have been. I feel like it had to do with kind of like shooting mechanics.
Mm,
Um, but I don't even remember what game it was or in what context anymore.
okay.
Um, but it
Good
was
talk.
something like that. Yeah, I know. Great talk, great example. Really sold it.
Dude, I don't remember what it was, but it was.
It was
Oh, all
cool.
right.
Let me tell
Awesome.
you. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. It's tomorrow. We'll know more. I'm not going to think of anything better than probably what is actually coming out. So,
hmm
I have a big wish list, but most of the stuff that I really would want probably wouldn't be in this direct anyways. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Nintendo stuff, or in general, I guess?
Um,
Anything else to talk about?
no, I am. I don't think I got anything else. I think I'm good.
Okay, ready to wrap up?
Yep.
Okay. Well then, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We also have the website game-crunch.com. It has all of our old episodes on it. And if you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hey,
any final thoughts?
no, I got nothing.
Okay. Well, that's it. My name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online, Clash of Penguin, there or on your favorite gaming console. And happy birthday, Brandon. I think
Oh, thank
your
you.
birthday comes out in between these episodes.
Yeah, it's in 2 days
Yeah.
from here.
hmm So happy
Yeah,
birthday. Hope you
thank
really are
you.
doing something awesome.
I
And
have no idea, honestly.
well, hey, not a bad thing either. So means you're teed up for a nice surprise, hopefully.
I
So,
guess.
um, and then that's it. No, I already said that part of it. But
Yep,
until
you
next
sure
week,
have.
game on.
Game on. Oh, you know what I forgot to talk about? It was
What?
also announced for tomorrow, just now, actually, 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Elden Ring DLC.
Oh, it's official now.
It's official and being shown tomorrow.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Watch Nintendo be like, nope, can't go against that. Delay the Nintendo Direct. Gotta get out of the way. So, no,
Let me check because I
I
think it is premiering in 13 hours at 9:30 a.m. immediately after the Nintendo Direct.
I have 10 a.m.
Okay. Well, I'm on their web. I'm on their actual channel.
Oh, okay.
It says 9:30 here.
Oh, maybe it's 9:30. The thing I'm looking at says 10.
I mean, I'm on the video waiting. Like they're gonna have a live stream of it, and the live stream says starting February 21st at 9:30 a.m.
Oh no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying just the thing I'm looking at says 10. So
Yeah, they're wrong, is what I'm saying. Because I'm on the official Bandai Namco page.
yeah.
I guess that's the EU one. I don't think it would be any different, and if I go over to the American one.
Oh, so the trailer is 2 minutes and 7 seconds long. A countdown will start 30 minutes before the trailer premieres.
Oh, well, that's fucking stupid.
So we're both right. Yay!
That is dumb as fuck.
Yep.
Start
That is
30 minutes before? That's dumb.
I literally hope it's just a countdown timer.
For 30 minutes?
There's 30 minutes. That's literally just giant letters that take up the whole screen and just counts
Countdown.
down. Yeah.
Oh, God, that would be fucking garbage.
It sounds exactly like I don't understand these giant countdown things. Makes no sense to me.
No,
So
it doesn't. You're right.
like I've seen Saturday Night Live will do things now too where
Uh,
they'll start live streaming their monologue, I guess they've been
mhm.
doing. But they'll have the episode up for like hours before they'll have it available on YouTube for like hours before the actual thing. Like just
Mm.
streaming, but not doing anything. They're like, well, why bother? I don't know. Why don't you
I
just
get
tell
it
us
when
what
it's
time to start?
like a single individual because you're like getting everything ready in the background and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when it's like a major company, maybe just don't.
Yeah. 5 or 10 minutes is fine. You don't need freaking 30-minute countdown.
Right?
Yeah. Or if you're doing like an event in person or whatever, sure. Do it, give people a chance to get queued up, settle down, whatever. Um, Build up some hype in person, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, no, we watched Thanksgiving this week.
Oh, I want to see that movie so bad.
It's on Netflix now. I
I
was
don't have
surprised.
Netflix, nor do
Oh,
I share it because it's not possible anymore.
yeah,
So
it's stupid.
I'll have to pirate it. It's fine.
hmm It was better than I expected. However, my
Hmm.
bar for that movie was so incredibly low. I don't know how it actually is. The trailers I thought were so bad. I was expecting the movie to be absolutely rancid, and
So
it
I
was.
heard it was like very good if you like horror films.
I would say
Like,
I would say it was a good cheesy horror movie,
and
which is what you
that's what it's
want.
meant to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not cheesy like dumb.
Uh-huh.
It's like cheesy like like it's self aware that it's dumb.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you know who made it, right?
uh, I did, and I don't remember now.
It's made by Eli Roth, the
Oh
same
yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
made so
Mhm.
many things that's like, oh yeah, I know I'm stupid.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. And like DJ was like, there's a scene at
He
the beginning of the
actually
movie.
quit making Borderlands, the movie, to make that movie.
Oh, I saw they
It's,
did have like a trailer or something come out,
it
didn't
comes
they?
out tomorrow also. There are like
Oh.
5 things that come out tomorrow. But also I saw the preview for the trailer. Holy
Mhm.
shit, does it look bad? It makes sense why he quit.
I mean, that movie looked bad a long time ago. Last time we talked about it.
Yeah, I know, but the teaser for the trailer, it looks awful.
What was this? No, DJ was getting bent out of shape because there's a point in the movie like so the Thanksgiving like the
Thanks.
whole thing
Is it
starts off with
Thanksgiving?
like a Black Friday
Uh-huh.
kind of thing.
Makes sense.
And so these people die because of like a crush or something during Black Friday.
Yeah, okay, that makes
But they're
sense
fighting
also.
over like waffle irons, like not even like TVs or anything. And
That's
DJ's like,
good.
"This is so dumb. They're dying over waffle makers." And I was like, "That's the point. Like, it's just the most
The thing
absolutely
is,
obscene thing."
I've been to Black Friday shopping in back in the day. That's the kind of thing I would expect someone to actually fight over during Black Friday. They would fight over the dumbest shit. I literally saw people rip apart like a fucking cart because of towels.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
people, if it's
dumb.
on sale and it's Black Friday, they don't give a fuck what it is. They just must consume.
Yeah, it makes a. But
So
DJ
it
was
actually makes sense for that
no,
to
no.
be like
Plus,
the part of the plot of the movie.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that
like that's
makes
how it
sense.
used to be. I'm like I have not been in a store on Black Friday in
I haven't either.
years. So I don't know how it is post pandemic, but at least that's how it was pre
Oh,
pandemic.
I
So
know post pandemic's way different. Like they literally open up before and they give you like tickets. It's a nice orderly line. Everyone walks, you stay in line. They got that shit down to a science now because of everything that happened.
yeah. I think it's all. I don't remember what else I had. It wasn't anything important. Probably just
Hmm,
something funny. Um, related to something we talked about last week, but I don't remember what
I
it was.
see.
So, that's it. That's all I got. I'm
Sounds
gonna go
good.
eat.
Yep, I'm heading out too. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye bye.